Hi, I'm Jeff Warner from Studio Cycles, and this is basic bike setup. In other words, the basic parameters for setting up your bike. If you look around YouTube, you will find dozens, if not hundreds, of experts on how to set your bike up and what to do and what not to do. My experience is former professional cyclist, although quite a few years back. I worked in a bicycle shop for different bicycle shops all around the country for 20 years. I've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of bicycles to people, one-on-one personal interaction with people, whether it's a kid's bike or it's an $8,000 road bike or the latest, greatest full suspension mountain bike. So, and I learned about these bikes and cut my teeth with Johnny G, the guy who created the bikes. Watching him and listening to him and riding in classes with him in the very beginning of the indoor cycling revolution. So what I'm going to give you is, I don't claim to be an expert in bike setup. I'm sure there's plenty of people with scientific data and graphs and tools that will show you why you need to do what you do, and I'm sure plenty of what's out there is very, very valid. What I'm giving you today is basic setup. So the first thing, and also my experience in teaching hundreds and hundreds of spinning classes. So whether you're buying a home version bike or it's an original Schwinn Johnny G Spinner special edition, which this bike is, you want to put your ass in the seat. You want to put your feet in the baskets or clip into the pedals. The first thing you want to look at is your leg extension. And when your pedal is at the bottom dead center of the rotation, you want a slight bend in your leg. So when you're at the bottom dead center, your leg can extend and rebound and recover in a nice, fluid, smooth motion. One interesting note: if you look at riders in the Tour de France, professional cyclists on custom-built bikes, the parameters that most people dictate to indoor cyclists are far different from a professional cyclist. I'm not suggesting that you need to follow the parameters of professional cyclists, but it's just pause for just to digest the differences. And that's with the professional cyclists. They tend to have a lot of bend at the bottom dead center of their stroke. With an indoor cyclist, you want a nice smooth extension and recovery. Obviously, if your ass is rocking in the saddle, your seat's too high. In terms of leg extension, this to me is right in range. Everybody's different. There is no, you never see two people at 5'10" that have an exact same inseam. People are just so different, especially men and women. So once you get your seat height and your leg extension established, make sure that the pot pin of the bike is tight, because it's just no fun having that tower drop down when you're in the middle of a class in a sprint because you didn't tighten down the pot pin. Second thing in basic setup is distance from the saddle to the handlebars. And like with the Johnny G Spinner Special Edition, you have 3 basic hand positions. You have flat here, you have a seated climb or running, standing climbing or running, you've got climbing out here with heavy resistance. Typically, in hand position 2, you don't want your arms to be completely extended and you don't want to be too far forward. Newer riders tend to like their handlebars a little higher, especially if you've got a little bit of Samsonite here and you're working on that and burning that off. Because the more folded over, the more of a kind of a pressure and a strain you put on your diaphragm, and your breathing becomes a little more labored because you've got everything kind of crushed together. So newer, less experienced riders tend to like their handlebars higher, but in any event, in my experience, because indoor cycling goes well with music and rhythm, when you're in hand position 2, you want a little bit of a bend in your elbows so that you can move your upper body and you're not locked out. Johnny G used to use the term, he'd say your body should move like a reed in the wind when you're on that bike, which means you should be fluid and loose. So one of the dynamics of fore and aft on your saddle is that when you're on your handlebars in position 2, you're able to move your upper body, because in my definition, and what I tell people is, when they come in my store, is out there the bicycle moves. On this bike, the body moves, so rhythm is really, really important. And when you're locked out, you put fatigue on your joints and you're unable to have that upper body rhythm in tandem with the leg rhythm. So that's one part. The second part is, assuming that the basket fits the foot, or you're wearing the right size shoe, when your crank arms are horizontal, you should be able to see an imaginary plumb line from the front of your knee straight down to the spindle of the pedal. Again, this is basic bike setup. Nothing heavily scientific at all about what I'm explaining to you, just my experience over and over and over and over. So the fore and aft portion of the saddle, you should be able to hit hand position 2 and have upper body rhythm when you ride the bike. And second, when your feet are horizontal and your front foot is horizontal and your pedals level, you should see a relationship between the front of your knee straight down to the pedal spindle. So that's basic bike setup. Also, if you're brand new with your bike and you're riding a perimeter weighted, aggressive, inertia producing bike, be familiar with where the brakes are on the bike. On the older Schwinns, you pull up on the knob. On the newer Star Treks, you push down on the knob. Some of the newer Schwinns have a lever now that sticks out, you push down and it actually lifts the knob up for you. But in any event, having the bike properly set up is important, and if you're entertaining the idea of going into a club and taking a class, knowing parameters will really be helpful for you if you're left all alone to set up your own bike. For more helpful bike by Raid videos, technical support videos, new bike building, repairing, adjusting, and on and on and on, check out studiocycles.com.